After 60, your body becomes more sensitive, not just emotionally, but physically. The food you eat now affects you differently than it did when you were 30 or 40. What once felt like a harmless treat can quietly cause inflammation, blood sugar spikes, memory fog, or pressure on the heart. You might have noticed this already. A meal that once gave you energy now leaves you feeling heavy. A snack you used to love now triggers bloating or heartburn. Foods high in salt or sugar seem to hit harder and stay longer. That's not your imagination, it's your body asking for a different kind of care. As we age, our metabolism slows, our organs work a little harder, and our nutritional needs change. But here's the good news. Small changes in your daily meals can lead to big improvements in how you feel. More clarity, better digestion, steadier energy, and even a lighter mood. This video is not about being perfect or giving up everything you enjoy. It's about becoming more intentional, about making food choices that support your strength rather than silently working against it. In today's video from True Senior Wisdom, we're talking about the 5 most dangerous foods for older adults, and more importantly, what to eat instead. This is not about restriction, it's about protection, because your plate can become a form of medicine or a source of silent harm. Let's begin. Food number 1, processed meats like bacon, sausage, ham, hot dogs. These meats are everywhere, from breakfast plates to sandwiches to quick dinners. But behind the salty, smoky flavor lies a dangerous trio: saturated fat, sodium, and preservatives like nitrates and nitrites. For people over 60, regularly eating processed meats can raise blood pressure significantly, increase inflammation throughout the body, contribute to heart disease and stroke risk, harm kidney function over time. Nitrates used in processed meat have also been linked to increased risk of certain cancers and memory decline. But the danger doesn't stop there. Let's break it down further. The hidden toll on aging bodies. As the body ages, it naturally becomes less efficient at processing saturated fat and sodium. The kidneys work harder, the arteries become stiffer, the gut lining becomes more sensitive. When you eat processed meats frequently, here's what happens over time. Blood vessels stiffen, increasing the risk of hypertension. Sodium pulls water into the bloodstream, raising blood pressure and putting stress on the heart. Preservatives disrupt gut health, weakening immune response. Inflammation spreads, accelerating joint pain, fatigue, and even cognitive decline. These symptoms don't always show up right away, but over months and years, they build slowly and silently until they become part of daily discomfort many mistake as just aging. According to a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, older adults who consumed high amounts of processed meat were significantly more likely to develop cardiovascular issues compared to those who ate little or none. Another report from the World Health Organization classified processed meats as Group 1 carcinogens, in the same category as tobacco and asbestos, due to strong links to colorectal cancer. And for seniors whose digestive tracts slow with age, these preservatives and additives stay in the system longer, causing greater irritation and toxin buildup. But I've eaten bacon my whole life. That's a common thought, and it's valid. For many of us, foods like bacon or deli ham are comfort foods. They remind us of simpler times, busy mornings, or weekend brunches. But here's the thing: what your body could tolerate at 35, it may not forgive at 65 or 75. That doesn't mean you have to eliminate every memory from your plate. It means learning to adjust, to shift your habits to protect the body you live in now. Reducing processed meat doesn't have to feel like punishment. Try these practical swaps. Instead of bacon, crisp up some seasoned mushrooms or smoked tempeh strips. Instead of deli ham, use thin slices of grilled turkey breast with herbs and olive oil. Instead of sausage, try homemade lentil patties with garlic, paprika, and a touch of mustard. Flavor doesn't come from chemicals. It comes from seasoning, texture, and care. And when you shift your mindset from convenience to nourishment, you begin to crave what actually makes you feel good. A sample day without processed meat: breakfast, oatmeal with nuts and blueberries; lunch, chickpea salad sandwich with lemon tahini dressing; dinner, baked salmon with steamed greens and roasted sweet potatoes. Your body will respond. You'll feel lighter, think clearer, and move more easily. This isn't about perfection, it's about protection. Even cutting back a few times a week can make a noticeable difference in how you feel. And remember, every meal is a new opportunity, a new chance to say to your body, I care about you. I want you to feel good. I'm listening. That's not just healthy eating, that's healing through eating. And that's exactly what your beautiful body deserves. Food number two, refined carbohydrates and sugary foods, white bread, pastries, sugary drinks. They're soft, they're sweet, they're comforting, and they're quietly draining your energy, harming your heart, and aging your brain. Refined carbs and sugary foods are staples in many households. From white bread to store-bought pastries, from sweetened cereal to soda, these items seem harmless at first glance. But for seniors over 60, they can have a far greater impact than many realize. Why these foods are dangerous. Refined carbohydrates are processed to remove fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What's left is quickly digested sugar that causes spikes and crashes in blood glucose levels. For aging bodies, these rapid shifts can be devastating. Blood sugar roller coaster causes fatigue, mood swings, and increases risk of type 2 diabetes. Brain fog, high sugar intake is linked to reduced cognitive function and increased risk of dementia. Heart stress, refined carbs increase triglyceride levels and promote belly fat, both of which strain the heart. Joint pain and inflammation. Sugar feeds systemic inflammation, worsening arthritis and mobility issues. Many seniors already experience slower metabolism and declining insulin sensitivity. Adding refined sugar to the mix only amplifies the challenges. New studies have shown that high consumption of sugar-rich foods is directly linked to shrinking of the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. It's no coincidence that diets high in white bread, sweetened drinks, and cakes are correlated with faster cognitive decline. You might think, it's just a cookie. What harm could it do? But when it becomes daily and is combined with low activity or poor hydration, it builds into a long-term threat to your clarity, independence, and vitality. Common offenders in the pantry: white sandwich bread, breakfast cereals with more than 5 grams sugar per serving, instant oatmeal packets, fruit yogurts, heavily sweetened, soda, sweet tea, and fruit juices, store-bought muffins, cookies, and donuts. These are often marketed as light or easy, but in reality they are sugar bombs hidden in plain sight. Instead of cutting everything out cold turkey, begin by crowding out sugary choices with more wholesome, stabilizing foods. Here's how. Smart swaps. White bread, whole grain bread, or sprouted grain bread. Look for 3-gram plus fiber/serving. Sugary cereals. Steel-cut oats with cinnamon and berries. Fruit yogurt. Plain Greek yogurt with chopped fruit or a drizzle of honey. Sweet tea. Unsweetened iced herbal tea or lemon water. Pastries. Homemade chia pudding with fruit and almonds. The goal isn't to eliminate sweetness, it's to find it in sources that also offer fiber, nutrients, and lasting energy. A healing day on your plate. Breakfast: boiled egg, whole grain toast with avocado, green tea. Lunch: quinoa bowl with roasted vegetables, chickpeas, lemon tahini dressing. Snack: plain Greek yogurt with walnuts and cinnamon. Dinner: grilled salmon, steamed greens, baked sweet potato. You'll notice a difference: more energy, fewer crashes, clearer thoughts. What if you crave sugar? You're not alone. Sugar cravings can be caused by dehydration. Drink a glass of water before reaching for sweets. Poor sleep. Emotional stress or loneliness. Instead of judging yourself, get curious. Ask, what am I really hungry for? Maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's connection. Maybe it's just a sign your body is tired and looking for quick fuel. Sweetness doesn't have to come from sugar. Fresh fruit, especially berries, apples, and oranges. A square of 70% plus dark chocolate. Herbal teas with a naturally sweet note, cinnamon rhubarb. Medjool dates with a smear of nut butter, a power-packed treat. Let sweetness be a gift, not a burden. Every time you choose fiber over fluff, protein over pastry, plants over processed sugar, you tell your body, I choose your health. And your body, even now, will thank you with more clarity, with more calm, with more years, not just to live, but to thrive. You don't have to live in fear of sugar. You just have to stop letting it lead. And when you do, your mind, your heart, and your energy will rise to meet you. Food number 3, fried and reheated foods, especially deep-fried and reused oil items. They're crispy, they're golden, they taste nostalgic. But for adults over 60, fried foods, especially those cooked in reused oils, pose one of the most dangerous threats to long-term health. Whether it's French fries, chicken wings, onion rings, or reheated spring rolls, These foods can trigger silent, systemic harm to aging bodies that are already working harder to stay in balance. Why fried foods are dangerous for seniors. Fried foods are typically cooked in vegetable oils that have been overheated or reused multiple times. This process creates trans fats, free radicals, and advanced glycation end products, AGEs, all of which are known to accelerate aging and disease. Here's what happens when you frequently eat fried foods after 60. Increased inflammation, leading to joint pain, arthritis flares, and tissue breakdown. Damage to blood vessels might increasing the risk of high blood pressure, stroke, and heart attack. Overworked digestion, as fried foods slow gastric emptying and cause acid reflux or bloating. Cognitive decline, as trans fats are linked to poor memory, foggy thinking, and higher risk of Alzheimer's. Fried foods also contribute to unhealthy weight gain, which can worsen joint strain, reduce mobility, and impair circulation, a triple threat for older adults. Many fried items, especially from restaurants and street food stalls, are cooked in reused oil. This oil is broken down chemically by heat and creates compounds that are toxic to your liver and heart. Even at home, reusing oil to fry again, which many do to save cost, compounds this effect. Studies have shown that reheated oils generate carcinogens, cancer causing agents, increase LDL bad cholesterol, cause oxidative stress, aging at the cellular level, and the worst part, these effects build up quietly. They don't hurt immediately, they simply accumulate over time, leading to chronic diseases that appear suddenly but have been forming for years. Let's be real. Fried foods often carry emotional comfort. They remind us of home, of family meals, of indulgent moments. So it's not just about health, it's about how we replace that comfort with something nourishing for the body and the heart. You don't have to sacrifice texture or flavor. Here are some safe, satisfying swaps, smart alternatives. Instead of French fries, baked sweet potato wedges with olive oil and rosemary. Instead of fried chicken, oven roasted chicken thighs with turmeric, garlic, and lemon. Instead of onion rings, crispy roasted chickpeas or zucchini chips with seasoning. Instead of battered fish, grilled or pan-seared filet with herbs and olive oil. Use an air fryer if you enjoy crunch. It uses little to no oil and can mimic fried textures with much less harm. A sample day without fried foods. Breakfast, scrambled eggs with spinach and avocado toast. Lunch, lentil and vegetable soup with whole grain toast. Snack, air fried apple slices with cinnamon. Dinner, baked salmon, quinoa, and steamed broccoli with lemon. The difference in how you feel may shock you. Less heaviness, less bloating, fewer mood dips, more steady energy, and better sleep. What if you still crave fried food? You can still enjoy the experience, just reimagine it. Choose crunchy salads with toasted seeds, try grilled vegetables with a crisp edge, make homemade baked snacks with fiber-rich flours, and most importantly, treat yourself with patience. Reducing fried food is a journey, not a one-time change. Every time you say no to deep fried, reheated, or greasy meals, you say yes to your heart, your brain, and your body. You say, I want to feel lighter. I want to think clearer. I want to live not just longer, but better. Fried food can be a memory, not a habit. You've earned something more nourishing, and your body, even now, is ready to thrive. Food number 4, canned and salty processed foods, soups, instant noodles, deli items, packaged snacks. They sit quietly on your pantry shelf. They offer speed, convenience, and comfort. But for people over 60, many canned and salty processed foods are ticking time bombs for your heart, your kidneys, and your overall vitality. From canned soups to packaged ramen, from processed cheese spreads to deli-style pickles, these foods may save time, but they can silently steal your long-term health. Why these foods are dangerous for seniors. As we age, our kidneys lose some of their efficiency. Our arteries may harden. Our blood pressure tends to rise naturally. All of these age-related changes make us far more vulnerable to the harmful effects of excess sodium, salt, and chemical preservatives. Canned and packaged salty foods contain high sodium levels, often more than your entire daily limit in one serving. Preservatives like MSG, nitrates, and phosphates that disrupt digestion and strain the kidneys. Artificial flavor enhancers and colorings that have been linked to headaches, fatigue, and allergic responses. The impact of high sodium after 60 raises blood pressure, increasing risk of stroke and heart attack, leads to fluid retention, causing swollen ankles, legs, and difficulty breathing. Damages kidney function. especially for those with diabetes or pre-existing kidney issues. Increases calcium loss, weakening bones, and increasing risk of fractures. Seniors often lose their sensitivity to taste, meaning they may add more salt without realizing the food is already overloaded. It's not just about table salt. Sodium hides in canned soups and vegetables, instant noodles and bouillon cubes, deli meats and cheese slices, prepackaged sauces, salad dressings and marinades, frozen entrees and diet microwave meals. Even foods labeled as low fat or heart healthy can be packed with sodium to make up for lost flavor. Reducing salty processed food doesn't mean bland meals. It means returning to flavor from nature, herbs, spices, citrus, and real ingredients. Smart swaps. Instead of canned soup, make a quick soup with low sodium broth, lentils, carrots, and herbs. Instead of instant noodles, try rice noodles with fresh vegetables, lime juice, and miso broth. Instead of packaged cheese spreads, use mashed avocado, hummus, or nut-based dips. Instead of deli meats, use sliced grilled chicken breast or roasted vegetables in sandwiches. Spice without the salt. Use fresh garlic, onion, ginger, and lemon to brighten flavors. Add herbs like basil, thyme, rosemary, oregano, and cilantro. Try warming spices like turmeric, cumin, or cinnamon for complexity. A healing low-sodium day breakfast. Oatmeal with banana and cinnamon. Lunch, quinoa salad with cucumber, parsley, olive oil, and lemon. Snack, unsalted almonds with apple slices. Dinner, baked cod with steamed greens and mashed sweet potato. Hydration is also key. Sodium pulls water into tissues, so drink plenty of water to flush the system and ease the strain on your kidneys. Many of us grew up with canned food as a symbol of security. Soup from a can meant love, warmth, simplicity. Letting go of those foods doesn't mean letting go of comfort. It means redefining what comfort feels like in your body today. Comfort is no longer about convenience, it's about kindness. It's about eating food that loves you back. After 60, your body needs more support, not more struggle. Every time you choose fresh over processed, home cooked over prepacked, real over artificial, you're choosing life. Not just a longer life, a more vibrant one. One where your heart beats steadier, your joints ache less, and your body speaks back to you with ease. Salt doesn't have to steal your strength. You can cook with care. You can heal with herbs. And every time you do, your body listens. And it thanks you with energy, clarity, and grace. Food number 5, artificial sweeteners and diet sodas. They promise sweetness without sugar, energy without calories. But for older adults, especially those over 60, artificial sweeteners and diet sodas may do more harm than good, affecting metabolism, digestion, mood, and even memory. These zero-calorie products are everywhere in sodas, yogurts, protein bars, coffee creamers, sugar-free candies, and flavored waters. But the chemical compounds used to replace sugar, like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin, interact differently with an aging body. Why artificial sweeteners are dangerous for seniors? Artificial sweeteners trick your body. They provide intense sweetness without calories. But that mismatch confuses your brain, your metabolism, and your gut. Here's what studies and doctors have found. Disrupted gut health. Artificial sweeteners can destroy beneficial gut bacteria, which are vital for digestion, immunity, and even mental health. Increased sugar cravings. Your body tastes sweetness but receives no energy, triggering increased hunger and stronger cravings later. Blood sugar spikes. Despite being sugar-free, some sweeteners can still raise insulin levels and contribute to insulin resistance. Headaches, dizziness, and mood changes. Some seniors report these after consuming aspartame or sucralose regularly. Cognitive risks. Emerging research links long-term artificial sweetener use to memory decline and even greater risk of stroke and dementia. It's tempting to think, well, at least it's better than regular soda. But many diet sodas still contain caffeine, which can raise blood pressure, are highly acidic, wearing down tooth enamel and upsetting digestion, offer no nutrition, and often replace more hydrating beverages like water or herbal tea. Worse, many people drink them multiple times per day, unaware that they're sabotaging their energy and gut function. Common artificial sweeteners to watch for. Aspartame, equal NutraSweet. Sucralose, Splenda, saccharin sweet and low, acesulfame potassium, K, neotame. These names might sound harmless, but they're linked to serious effects, especially when used consistently over time. You don't need to give up sweetness, you just need real sweetness from natural sources. Safe, naturally sweet swaps. Use honey, maple syrup, or stevia in moderation, preferably in their raw, unprocessed form. Try coconut sugar or date paste in baking and oatmeal. Enjoy whole fruits, their fiber helps regulate sugar absorption. Drink swaps. Replace diet soda with sparkling water plus lemon lime plus mint. Brew iced herbal teas with cinnamon, hibiscus, or ginger. Infuse your water with cucumber berries or basil for subtle sweetness. A gut healing day without artificial sweeteners. Breakfast, plain Greek yogurt with fresh berries and chopped almonds. Lunch, brown rice and roasted veggie bowl with tahini dressing. Snack, sliced apple with almond butter. Dinner, grilled chicken, sautéed kale, and roasted carrots. Drink, warm lemon water with cinnamon or peppermint tea. Your body will begin to reset. Many people report improved digestion, fewer cravings, better sleep, and even clearer skin within just a few weeks of cutting out artificial sweeteners. Many seniors grew up during the era of low-fat, diet everything. You were taught to fear calories, not chemicals. But now we know better. Nourishment is more important than restriction. It's okay to say goodbye to the diet culture that told you thin was better than healthy, or that chemicals were better than natural sugars. It's okay to choose real, slow, joyful food, because your body, especially now, deserves honesty, not illusion. Artificial sweeteners don't make life sweeter. They make your body work harder to find balance. After 60, your sweetness can come from other places, from relationships, from fresh fruit, from the freedom to choose what's gentle, real, and good. So the next time you reach for a sugar-free treat, pause, ask, is this truly nourishing me? And if not, choose something that does. Because healing doesn't need chemicals, it just needs care. And you deserve all the care in the world. If this video offered you insight or comfort, please take a moment to like this video to support our channel and help it reach more people like you. Share your experience in the comments. Your story could be the encouragement someone else needs today. Subscribe to True Senior Wisdom for weekly guidance on living well, aging gently, and making empowered choices after 60. Here, your health is honored, your journey is respected, and your wisdom is welcomed just as you are.